Greetings, Samurai! Today we'll be looking at Emerald Empire, the second largest book in the Legend of the Five Rings Roleplaying Game line from Fantasy Flight Games. It is a hardback volume of 256 pages, which is 80 pages smaller than the core book. It is case-bound, so it opens and lays flat with no damage to the spine, and the pages are fully stitched in place. It has the same red banding and the same art on the front and rear flyleaves as all the books in this line do, and there is an unadorned print of the cover art inside. The subtitle is The Essential Guide to Rokugan. Emerald Empire has always been the name of the main setting book throughout all incarnations of the role-playing game. In fact, the word Rokugan is said to mean Emerald Lands, although someone forgot to put this in the core glossary. This book should essentially be a cut and paste of previous works, as the Rokugani still have the same traditions, history, laws, religion, and so on. But this edition is 46 pages and 4 chapters lighter than the one that came before it. Its design and ethos is quite an unusual one. Rather than being a textbook of information seeking to educate you on the facts of the setting, it seems to be more of a window into the themes or building blocks used in its creation. Rather than listing all the great shrines and their history, for example, it will tell you about what makes up a Rokugani shrine and give you a specimen or two, possibly so you can make up your own while you wait for a bumper book of shrines to arrive. It does this with rivers, mountains, holidays, divine beings, and so on. It is more of a blueprint than a catalogue of Rokugan. The structure of the book is distinctly odd. Rather than having a chapter about government, culture, religion, warfare, and other logical topics, the book has geographic themes. The chapter on castles also contains the information on government. But you need to wait till the chapter on trading hubs to learn about crime and punishment. Until you understand how the book is structured, this can be very confusing. But you have the contents page, the index, and even the chapter summaries in the introduction to try and help you. Because L5R is such a distinct and rigid setting, every player should read this book before playing, both to make them feel comfortable with the world building and to give them plenty of topics to roleplay with. But if your GM were to teach you as you played, then following the chapters in this book like lessons would be an intuitive way to learn. You might start off in your lord's castle, so you would be exposed to diplomacy and courtly matters. If you then travelled to a city, you might encounter legitimate trade as well as the more criminal side of commerce. Continuing your journey, you may undoubtedly travel through villages and farmland, probably using the roads and rivers to travel, until you came to a shrine with its associated fortune, or maybe a monastery of a particular order, or you might find yourself lost in a forest or a mountain range. Either put up with the unconventional structure, or read the whole book and take notes. This book is divided into 7 chapters plus an introduction. There is also a 3-page index at the end, but unlike the core book where multiple pages are listed, it doesn't bold the most comprehensive entry. It uses the same graphic design style as all the books, so you should feel right at home. There is plenty of artwork scattered throughout, and also illustrations too. There is a map of Rokugan which looks the same as the original, but is actually different. Not in terms of geography, but a lot less places are marked on the map. In fact, this map only really highlights the locations that are used as examples in this book, including the ominous-sounding Temple of the Burned Monk, Forgotten Village, and Temple of Listening Ghosts. Having to reference 2 maps of the same place can be quite inconvenient for the busy GM, particularly as the text itself is tiny. Speaking of tiny, the other superb maps and plans look fantastic and are crying out to be used with the official tokens, but are just too small. And if you choose to make do, then no one can pick up the book while they are in place. They would have been great as detachable sheets at double size or even as PDF maps. Another feature that runs throughout the book are these adventure seeds, which are related to the theme of the chapter they appear in. They have a 3-part explanation named Hook, Rising Action, and Climax, which is surely just another name for the challenge, focus, strike of earlier editions. We counted 28, but they aren't referenced or indexed in any way, so no doubt when you try and find one in particular, it will appear to have disappeared. The book begins with a single-page story, then a preface of what the book is about and summary of how each chapter functions, plus the already discussed map. Then follows a 13-page chronology of Rokugani civilization, beginning at the dawn of time with nothing and passing through the major events such as the war with Fuleng, the departure of the Kirin clan, the appearance of a troublesome sorcerer, and so on, stopping before the end of the 1,000 Years of Peace and any hint of a second Day of Thunder. Chapter 1 discusses castles including the Imperial Palace, 2 clan castles and a minor clan castle, then Toshi Ranbo. It also explains feudalism, lordly duty, courtly politics, as well as war and diplomacy. Chapter 2 then introduces urban life, crime and punishment, trade and commerce, and several major cities and ports, including the Imperial capital, the City of Lies, and the City of the Rich Frog, as well as discussing the time-honoured tradition of playing a magistrate-themed campaign. Chapter 3 presents rural life, farms and villages, and the people that live there, including the Goshi, the country samurai, for anyone looking for something pastoral. It too has examples of villages for you to include in your campaign, complete with adventure seeds and rumours. It also covers the roads and rivers that join them together, and the way stations along the highways. Chapter 4 not only explains shrines, but the fortunes they venerate, those that tend them, and the festivals and rituals you will see performed there, as well as explaining the cosmology and the numerous spirit realms, their shifting history, and some of their inhabitants. The examples are the Shrine of the Kirin, and the first shrine erected to Benton, the fortune of arts and romantic love. It finishes with 3 pages on haunted, tainted and corrupted shrines, malicious fortunes and forbidden rites. Chapter 5 covers the other of Rokugan's religious paths, the teachings of Shinsei, including different interpretations of his life and teachings and the many facets of the brotherhood that revere him. This includes monastic life in general, temples and other orders dedicated to the fortunes. Chapter 6 concerns the wilds of Rokugan, the mysterious forests of Shinamon and Kitsune and what dwells within, the perilous mountain ranges with their unique hazards and precious ores, and lost ruins ripe with adventure seeds, rumours and interesting NPCs to meet on the winding trails. And finally, the coasts and marshes with their unique marine encounters. Chapter 7 closes the book with 26 pages of new options for players, featuring Imperial characters from 3 of the families with 5 schools to choose from, plus 2 monk orders, a Kitsune impersonator tradition, and the appearance of the dreaded Kolat. There are 15 additional advantages and 11 new disadvantages, 2 new techniques, Air and Void Shuji, and finally 9 new titles from Advisor to Yoriki. One thing to note is that there is virtually no mention of the Shadowlands, which is probably because the next sourcebook is dedicated to this subject. There are a number of points in the book where the designers will pull you aside and remind you that many parts of this game are borrowed from real-world cultures and religions. There are words and concepts that people take very seriously, and they want you to be careful when using these ideas in the context of entertainment, particularly when using stereotypes or slurs against people. This is especially important when playing in a gaming store or convention where you have no idea who is around you. Thank you for watching, Samurai, and we'll see you again when the next book comes out.